I say thank you to you, and I say to all those listeners that you have out there is to be careful, to listen very carefully to this man, because he not only knows about health of the body, but health of the spirit and health of the mind. You put it together, you got one heck of a combination.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks. It has to be authentic. It has to be authentic. Anyway, I don't know. The line was so bad before. I could barely hear what you were saying. And you were saying something about you were working in the UN. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we were talking about how touchy the subject Gaza, Israel is, and the whole Middle East. I actually the last panels I was on was on Yemen. Because Yemen has declared a cholera outbreak. They asked me to come and speak, to make articles, and I saw that it was so explosive. We don't even know who is who, and who has made the coup. And then it's the Iranians. No, it is the Saudi Arabians. No, it's another force. It's the US. No, it's Israel. And I was like, this is, and it's always like that. In the Middle East, there is so many entanglements that I realized that I have to take a meta view and have a certain sense of humor. And when I talk to them, I say, well, do we really know who is behind, private armies? And, I had all those clues to discuss with them at another level, because I don't want to discuss this with them. It's too touchy unless they are very awakened and they know that even Netanyahu and others have said that Hamas has been created by Israel. So just take that and you understand the game that every country is playing in the world. It's not just Israel,
Yeah, so you can get into the pit.
That's my experience at UN.
Yeah, Astrid, you can get into the pit and it's all very complicated. But I'm like you, I stand back, and I go, actually, it's quite simple. You don't trust any government. You don't trust the Iranian government. You don't trust the Saudi government. You don't trust the Israeli government. You don't trust the Hamas government. You don't trust any government. Governments are our enemy. Right. Governments have lied to us in the past and they lie to us now. Governments want to kill us. They've tried to kill us in the past. They're still trying to kill us. Yeah. And they will try and kill us in the future. It's very simple. And whenever you get pulled into getting emotional and picking a side and hating another group, that's when you know they've got you. And actually what you should do is stand back and say, I love Palestinians. I love Jews and Israelis. I love everybody. I love humanity. And I'm not going to step in and go, they're the bad guys and they're the good guys. And it's not, no, don't do that. That's you falling into the trap. And I think what I was upset about with Chris was he turned into the trans activist. The trans activists go, you're a transphobic. And then just because he's not agreeing with them. And because I was not agreeing with him, he's like, you're a terrorist sympathizer. I'm like, what? No, no.
It becomes hilarious. This is crazy. They were in, again, UN and at the Swiss level. I was a women's rights activist, and I still am. But man and woman, have to be in harmony. But when the transgender movement started, LGBT, they called it like that, they came to the women's rights movement and they took over. their issue was bigger than being a woman. And I was like, hey, there's a problem here. We have not solved even the fact that we are women. So what are you coming to confuse us? That's how I saw this. It was at least 10 years ago. It started already. And Hillary Clinton came to speak at the UN about LGBT, QX. I think how many letters there were at that time. It was just before the Two Towers event.
Mm.
So now it all makes sense, when you read back your life and you go, oh, got it. But you're right. They're trying to confuse people. And it's beautiful to think about humanity with a big H and to say we are the people of humanity. And these entities that are called that are evil are everywhere. They can even come and inhabit someone at a certain moment because energetically they suddenly have a burst of something. So I'm really at that level of analysis at the moment. When I see evil, I'm like, is it the person talking, or is they obeying to a certain programmation, or is it their fear, or there are many ways to explain what you lived with, Chris.
Yeah, no, you've nailed it. Yeah, I mean, because I think most of the evil in the world is not actually done by this small evil, whatever group of people. Most of the evil done in the world is done by good people, thinking they're doing good when actually they
look
not.
like good people. They look like good people. It's different. They were elected on the merit, and this word merit is terrible because I've heard it at the university, at the Faculty of Medicine, my whole life. You need to merit the title of professor. And I said, what do you mean merit? Oh, it's still connecting. Yeah. So merit is, I think it's a built-up concept. It's not true. We should build the future on authenticity, sincerity, have a scanner. Have a scanner to choose who you want to work with. Oh, gosh.
Sorry, the internet just went again. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, yeah, you're right. It should be on authenticity. I think there's not enough people who are authentic. I think people put up masks and pretend to be something they're not. And I think most people they suss it out. They know this person's not genuine. They're speaking out of a script. They're almost like an automaton. But it's all a bit weird. I want to talk about you right now. Listen, Astrid Stuckelberger, you got this beautiful picture on your Twitter with snow, alpine kind of like scenery. It looks very beautiful. So
that's where I grew up. Actually, it's a ski resort.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you're professor of medical sciences, international public health scientist. You're an author. You're a WHO whistleblower, UN, EU former science and ethics expert. I mean, if you don't mind me saying this, there's a few words in there that make me really nervous. I'm very wary of experts and scientists and the WHO nowadays.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I was just before the connection went again. I was saying, in your profile, your Twitter profile, it says PhD, professor of medical sciences, international public health scientist, author, WHO whistleblower, UN, EU former science and ethics expert. Do you know what? I'm very nervous of experts and scientists these days. But let's talk about ethics expert.
Right.
What happened to ethics? The professor of ethics, professors of medical ethics. Where the hell were they in the last few years when mandates came around and, bodily autonomy went out the window and no one got informed consent? I didn't hear anything from them. Did you?
Oh, well, I had, it was in December 2021. It was 2020, maybe. I was on a board at the radio. Yeah, it was in 2020 because then they really censored me completely. And I had a debate with the professor of ethics that I was inviting to speak at the Faculty of Medicine for the students of the Master of Public Health. And she was there, and the head of Brigitte Briand, which I know from the WHO, was there. And I couldn't make sense about, she didn't say anything about ethics. I challenged them. They were like stone speaking, always the same, never get beyond the border that they had set in their mind, something. And I couldn't get ethics in I said, but there's nothing ethical in your decisions. especially in the research about the vaccine.
Hmm.
Conflict of interest. And you see the problem? I know where the problem is, but first let's get down on all the ethical fraud. And when I was on the board of WHO, reviewing tons of expertises of researchers that WHO would validate, this research of experimental vaccine would never, ever have even gone through the first selection because of conflict of interest. So this is major. The producer of a vaccine does not evaluate the research, neither does it do the methodology, neither does it pay or not pay or decides about the ethics consent. And so this already was a breach. And then they did not even do that with a university or a clinic, or didn't do the first stage, second stage was not clear. Then they did not declare what was in there. And the worst was the informed consent, because an informed consent is the most important instrument in research.
Yes.
In the population. I'm not talking about clinical, I'm just talking about any research in a healthy population. And this was a total breach. And normally, I mean, if once we get in depth, I can show you the protocols that we were using. Informed consent had to be very clear on who is responsible, what are the good effects, who is paying if there is a problem, if the person gets sick, what benefits do they have, no harm, do good, and then do you sign, do you put your fingerprint, and then you get a copy of this informed consent, and they are liable. And one of the very important issue was the person who is part of the research has the right to know all the data that is coming out as a result of the research. So community information about where do we stand in the research, how many people died, was never monitored. And so what from the whole checklist that we had, I don't think anything went right. You know, it's Murphy's law. If something can go wrong, it went wrong. It's the Murphy ethics law.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people say to me, oh, you're a quack. You're a crazy, disgraced doctor. You know, there's nothing experimental about these jabs, you crazy doctor. I think they
What?
were. Yeah, I think they were experimental jabs. And
How
I don't
can
think...
they say they said it's experimental? They said it.
Where did they say it and who said it?
Well, they said it is an experiment. They said that it is no. They said it's a conditional essay. It's a conditional trial. There are words that say it. They don't say the word experiment maybe exactly, but it was a conditional trial, and they even set dates. When to stop.
So I read the emergency use authorization, and it was very clearly very clearly written down that it was now phase 3 trials, and the phase 3 trials were running till 2023. Now, back in 2021, that meant it was experimental. It's still an experiment. It's still an active phase 3 trial. And I was like, this is experimental to me. And then you just need to look at it like the product. When has a vaccine ever been made in this way before? When has this drug or mode of delivery and genetic and, you know, when has it ever been widespread and used for mainstream things, purposes outside of experimental things? And I couldn't find anything. I think there was one failed cancer treatment, but that's a cancer treatment. It wasn't for treating viruses or vaccines.
Well,
so to me, it was very much experimental. But it's amazing. Even now, people say to me, "Oh, you're crazy. There's nothing experimental about it."
No, but what for me was a big shock is that in public health, and my PhD was on population health, you know, and the difference between men, women, age groups, etc. But you don't do an experiment, a global experiment in a healthy population. You do a trial, a clinical trial with a few people, 50 people, 80. You control who is coming in, that they don't have another disease, that they don't have this, they don't have that. They never controlled anything. There is no methodology in the sample that they have included in the trial. There's no methodology. It's everybody. And for me, this was a shock. I have never heard of this before, a trial on the global population at the same time with no targeted clinical trial. And on top of that, I did a trial when I was in geriatric medicine. I was in the research team, and with this Professor Gauthier, we made this research on the effect of the flu vaccine on old people in the geriatric unit. And so we took a sample, I think it was about 60 people, and we looked at the outcome of those vaccinated versus those not vaccinated, which you see is clear. And you have a group of elderly people all in the geriatric hospital with certain conditions, and you have to choose the conditions so it is comparable. You know that, but it's maybe for people listening that you cannot just take somebody dying. So you need to have somebody who's healthy or is in rehabilitation, who has a functional problem but not something else. You cannot go and vaccinate somebody with a pneumonia or something. So we did that research, and the outcome, listen to that, Amat, you're going to, is that those vaccinated were more sick than those not vaccinated. There was no effect of the flu vaccination on the incidence of flu in the life of those people longitudinally. So we were laughing together and say, this flu shot has nothing to do. This was it was 20 years ago. And there I saw that the flu shot has no effect.
Well,
we did not measure the evil effect, but this research trial should have been taking place in geriatric, then in the adult, then in the children, which doesn't make sense because they were never sick, then with pregnant women. My brother is a gynecologist. I went right up to him and I said, listen, brother, you don't get this injection in pregnant women. This has never been done before. They carry life. And he said, what are you talking about? And he got very upset. The ego doctor. And I said, listen, you're going to be responsible of something really bad. You know that? And from then on, he was furious with me. So I stopped talking about it. And then he heard from his friends what I was saying. And I think that now he's very kind of humble and he doesn't talk about it. It's a taboo topic. But I think he got it.
Oh, it's the same everywhere. It's the same everywhere.
Can you imagine?
Family never talks to family never takes my opinion seriously, because I'm just like, what the hell do I know? It doesn't matter what it is, an ankle injury, the COVID shots, or whatever. I'm like, I'm the doctor, and I try and tell my family, and they're like, what do you know? You don't know anything.
They say that,
and then
they understood.
Nah, but they go and hear it elsewhere, and they go, oh, that's what they said.
Oh.
And I'm like, I said that, and they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, no, I was. You were disagreeing with me when I told you. And they're like, I don't remember. It's funny how they just forget. Like,
oh yeah. But it's a defense mechanism. You need to pretend that everything is okay. We knew it. We knew it. But we have to leave them not losing their face, like you say in Japan. And
yes. So I know people. I know doctors who are. Yeah. So I know doctors who were busy vaccinating and competing about who could vaccinate the most. And at the time, when I questioned it, they were like, whoa, are you like Andrew Wakefield? Are you an anti-vaxxer? And now when you talk about it, they go, oh, no, these vaccines, I don't like them. I'm not having any more. I don't trust them. And you're like, remember when you were jabbing? Like, they're like, what? No, I don't remember. The self-preservation is they've totally forgotten. They've forgotten what they were doing. This is what I meant by most evil is done by good people. These people were just following orders. They fell for the propaganda. They got brainwashed. They're good people. They're not bad people. Your brother's not a bad person. You're a good person. Well, I'm saying a lot of good people.
No, but he might have earned money on this.
Stick it in him.
You
Go
see,
for it.
the motivation, you see, the motivation they had was the priority, the ethical priority was maybe money. But they got trapped, and some people admit they got trapped in the propaganda of the pharma. But you see the consequence. I was thinking, the consequence of a doctor admitting that he was wrong can have a lot of consequences, even legally. Because if you go in the open and say, yes, I was wrong, then all your patients are going to come back and say. So I can see a point there where the design of what happened was very evil. But the way they trapped the medical community is incredible. And in that way, but they have to recognize in group that, or the order of medicine, those who took the decision from top down, they were, huge conflict of interest, and they had bonds in the PCR, in the vax. We know that Bill Gates has installed a money-making business to remunerate the doctors and the countries. So you can go and look at the IFFM, the International Financing Facility for Immunization, equal vaccination of Bill Gates. He has bonds. They're playing with the vaccines, and they made so much money.
Sorry. So what's it
So
called? The website? What's the website called?
It's IFFM, International Finance Facility for Immunization. Maybe IM at the end.
Oh, I've got the Indian Film Festival of Melbourne. All right, here we go. I've got it. I've censored it. No, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. Hold on a second.
Well, it's Gavi. It's Bill Gates and Gavi. I've been speaking about this, but nobody seemed to understand. This is where
supporting Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, vaccine bonds, bringing donors and investors. So hold on a second. What's that all about? I don't understand that. What are they? What the hell? How does this work? What are they doing?
Well, Gavi, the Bill Gates has many. It's a Ponzi scheme, so he has many bubbles where he has operated the finances and his crime. But you see, they're contributing to COVAX. You see, so it is the financing mechanism. But you have to go backwards and say, okay, so Bill Gates comes from a Fabian society. The depopulation agenda, and his first institute was for depopulation. Then it became Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Then he created Gavi, went to vaccinate UNICEF with the children. And then in 2005-03, I found the text. He signed a contract with WHO and the World Bank, and it's all written in there, to finance the campaign of global vaccine for immunization. And they make money on this. And I always said, can a financial guy go and analyze this? They are making, I don't even know how it works, bonds. But I guess that they have all bought bonds and they're making money for each vaccine they get. They're produced. Do you understand how it works? Maybe you're better in finance.
Can I be honest with you? I am shit when it comes to money. I'm so crap. Always have been. So partnership model, unique financing model for global health is built upon partnerships between donor countries, private investors, the World Bank, and Gavi. Receives IFFM receives long-term this is a key thing, legally binding pledges from donor countries. So what that means is our government is saying to IFFM, we promise you we're going to buy 100 million shots. We guarantee you we're going to buy these vaccines from you. Legally binding pledges from donor countries, and with the help of the World Bank, turn these pledges into vaccine bonds. That sounds very wrong to me.
Well, that's the contract we're looking for. You're right. This is the contract. Actually, this is a scoop, because you're the first one who goes into it and analyzes it like this.
This is really worrying.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, because even the fact that WHO and the World Bank signed to give the money to Gavi and IFFM is for COVAX and CEPI. It's for vaccination in the whole world. This already is illegal, because they are giving our tax money. Where does it come from otherwise?
That's 100% the case. And you know what? This is what I love. I love this. These long-term pledges support the issuance of vaccine bonds and suckucks, I don't know what that is, which have been issued in various markets in 8 currencies and proved remarkably popular with the institutional and individual investors. You know, these institutions and individual investors want to make money, who want a market-based return. Bullshit. It's stitched up as a monopoly. Right. You know, the governments are pledged, promised. It's all stitched up. There's no market here. And then an ethical, pure play impact investment opportunity. It's complete inversion. There's nothing ethical about this. They're basically extorting from countries. They're forcing, these countries are signing up. They're betraying their population and they're signing up blank checks. They're signing up blank checks to this goddamn institution, which then goes to the investors. Hey, we're guaranteed an income stream here. Do you want to invest in this model? I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's great you're reading it now because this is exactly it. And we should check, you know, how much did they give? I mean, it's all written, you know, they have a kind of a law. They have to disclose the truth under lies. And this is a key document. And it dates since, you know, there is 2023, but actually it has been created in 2005 or 2003, between those dates when they signed. And I knew the head of the World Bank, Wolfenson, and he did not do that. It's Wolfowitz, the warmonger Wolfowitz of the Bush administration, who created that.
Really?
So when he came, yes. It's I mean, James Wolfenson did not. He was not like that. He would not do this. He created an ethical board at the World Bank. But Wolfowitz came in, and I remember he was saying in a dinner that he was very upset that they gave the World Bank that he had carved the best way possible to a guy who was a warmonger. He wanted to go to war for everything.
You can make this up.
So,
but this whole vaccine pandemic, it's the same. It's a war on viruses, and it's just a way of making money. The medical industrial complex, as opposed to military industrial complex. You need a war. You need an enemy. You need a forever war. And for the forever war, you need an enemy, an elusive one, an invisible one you can't target or pick. And you just the fear is always there. I mean, and they, you know, I don't know about you, but Astrid, you know, they always roll them out in intervals. You know, sometimes it's a pandemic, sometimes it's a Muslim terrorist, sometimes it's something. You know, they keep rolling it out. Have you noticed?
It's always the same algorithm. Yeah.
Have you noticed the Muslim terrorists have gone away for quite a long time? Where have they gone?
The what?
The Muslim terrorists. Yeah, the Muslim terrorists. They've gone very quiet. Yeah. Have you noticed that they disappear? We used to have bombings all the time. Because they don't need them right now.
The vaccine.
Yeah, the terror is the vaccine.
The people holding the shots. Terrorists.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Right. This guy is chairman and board of the director because he cares a lot about health. He's got a background in asset management. He used to be the treasurer of the World Bank. I mean, look at this. Look how nice. He's got a family ranch in Wyoming. I mean, he's doing quite well, isn't he? He's doing really well. And then you got Bertrand. Look at this guy. Oh, look, he's also director general of a European Investment Bank. I don't see it
on the screen. Did you change the screen?
Oh. No, if you're using the phone, you won't be able to see it. But yeah, I'm putting it on my screen share. I'm putting it on the screen share. So this guy, Bertrand de Mazière, he's also, you know, finance director at the European Investment Bank in the past. And, you know, all these people, I'm looking at the board. Who is on the board? They're all just business people.
Yeah, that's very important.
Here's another one. Ingrid Van Vies. She used to be risk management vice president, Asian Development Bank. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's all about money. Money.
But you know, it's Goldman Sachs that created this IFFM with Gavi. So behind this document, of the creation of this document, is Goldman Sachs. So it comes from a banking industry. The whole setup here is incredible, and we don't see it because where can we see the bonds? Can we see it by opening the newspaper? I mean, can we buy bonds? I mean, you know what I mean? How do they manage this? There are big questions.
Do you know what? Healthcare is cha-ching-ching. It's big money. It's money. Money.
Well,
and it's all
Bill
about
Gates
keeping you
said
sick.
that. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. But Bill Gates, in an interview that went viral, said that the biggest business and return on investment was vaccines. He said it's fantastic. So you create a scam, something we cannot see, we cannot test, we cannot isolate because it's a mutant, and you make a photoshopped a virus. And even Professor Montagnier told me that there is no virus. He, at the end of his life, he admitted that even HIV/AIDS, he's not sure it exists. So
Professor who?
they have created what?
Professor who?
Professor Jean-Luc Montagnier, the Nobel Prize for HIV/AIDS, who collaborated with.
He
Yes.
said he doesn't know if there's an HIV. Say that clip again. I need to make a clip of this. Say that one more time clearly.
Yes. So the Professor Luc Montagnier, who was working with the Institut Pasteur his whole life with Fauci, received the Nobel Prize for HIV/AIDS discovery of the virus in 2009. And when he received the prize, the Nobel Prize, he said, "I'm not sure the virus exists." He knew there was no virus because he had been trapped. He had been tested by the team of Jacques Benveniste, who was developing frequency tests of molecules and of pathogens. So every pathogen has a weight, every weight has a frequency, and you can create a disease just by sending a frequency. And
Wow.
This is what Montagnier was very interested in, and he made many videos on the memory of water. You can go and look. Jacques Benveniste got killed. He died very suddenly. He was in full health. But his discovery and his patents stayed. And Professor Montagnier tried to get them before he got the Nobel Prize. And he was proved with the team. I know the team who survived. And they have asked him to come and witness that HIV/AIDS can be created in a lab with a frequency, the correct frequency sent in a petri dish.
Wow.
And he looked at it and he said, "Oh yes, it's very strange." So this looks like science fiction, but it is not very far from science fiction because you can find even those frequency in some of the documents in the vaccines and in WHO. I wrote a report on this in September 2021 for all the judges of France to show them that this is a very dangerous shot.
All right, hold on 1 second. We'll come to that in a second. I just did a podcast with David Raznick. I don't know if you've heard of David Raznick. And he blew apart the whole thing about HIV and AIDS. He goes, it's complete nonsense. HIV does not cause AIDS.
Yes.
It was a scam. And he said, Ahmed, HIV/AIDS was the precursor for COVID. They did the whole shabam way back in the 80s and 90s. They fooled the world.
Yeah.
And they sold it really to the gay community at the time, AZT and all that kind of stuff, which is toxic. And now they just did the HIV 2.0 again all over again, but this time it was called COVID. It's terrifying.
Right. Exactly.
So
because it's just not possible
can you
that it is a virus that mutates.
Yeah, exactly. Can you just go into, I've done so many podcasts about this now. I'm not going to repeat that all. People, if they're interested, they should go back and listen to my numerous backlog catalog. But listen, let's talk about frequency a little bit more. We've all living things have got a frequency. Even the planet Earth has a frequency. So when you talk about the viruses or applying a frequency, how to the vaccines, how do they do that? What do they do?
Well, it's the same with bioacoustics. The sound has a frequency, and the molecules have a frequency. So every molecule has a wave. Every wave has a frequency, and is very distinguishable. So that's what this group did. They made a patent that could reproduce by computer or by frequency a disease. This is why Bill Gates is so interested, and he created a virus in the computer, and now they use the same word virus to get the vaccine, and it is like a pattern of people. You can't see it, but the virus in the computer exists also, So it's a big psyop, the whole thing, because what we see nowadays, the high specialist and Professor Montagnier said at the end of his life, 2 weeks before he died, actually, it's firsthand a friend of mine who's, trying to get this out in the political field. He said he was driving, Professor Montagnier, and he is from the Tunisia, and he said, Professor Montagnier, tell me that those vaccines are not good, any. And he said, no, there is no vaccine that's good. And he said, so this virus is all a scam. What do you see? Can you tell me what you see? And he said, no, we don't see anything. We don't know what we're looking at.
Oh, wow.
That's it. And that's what Duisberg and many of who have debunked HIV/AIDS, and Gary Mullis himself went up to Professor Montagnier, and it's in interviews. He said to Montagnier, could you show me a picture of the HIV virus? I would like to see a real picture of a lab. He's an expert of PCR. So only PCR can only be used in labs. And Montagnier said, he was very embarrassed. He was very embarrassed. And Carrie Mullis said that he tried to get away from the question. He asked it again, and he said, you should go and look at the articles that have been published on monkeys. And that's it. And he left. He knew very well. You see, that's what is incredible. So when he started to talk about what's going on with COVID, he said that there are artificial strains, and that they have put in the SARS-CoV sequences. So it's artificial. David Martin showed it. Artificial sequences of malaria and of HIV. But even that, if it's artificial, how do we know? How did they create an artificial sequence? You see, I go, when I talk about this, I go into the CRISPR-Cas9, this invention that got Nobel Prize in 2020, and they tried to modify the genome. This is a sin. You cannot change God's code and the human code. Otherwise, the human cannot survive. Most of the researches I've done and the publications I did on regenerative medicine, I've studied that. And there is no research that survived. When you change the genome of a human or a child, there is no survivor. You cannot change a human genome. You see? So they're trying to touch, our human genome, and they don't describe it completely. You can look at Harvard. Harvard University says that we only know 2 or 10% of the genome. Even after decoding the whole genome, we only know 10% maximum. You can go and look on Harvard University. I've looked at it just lately because I said they are hiding so much to us.
They're hiding so much. So Astrid, I spoke to David Rasnick. David Rasnick was a scientific partner with Duisberg. He published a lot of papers that you just mentioned Duisberg. So David Rasnick wrote many papers with Duisberg, and I spoke to him twice. And one podcast has just come out about HIV and AIDS, and then I did another podcast about cancer with him. And he was saying, this whole genome thing is complete nonsense. The code of life, it was a great analogy. He said, Ahmed, people think the genome is the recipe book for life. He said it's not. It's simply the dictionary. It provides the words and the vocabulary. And then from that, you can make a masterpiece, you can make a little pamphlet, a poem, or, whatever, a novel.
Yeah.
The genome is simply the dictionary. And it's a lot more complicated. He goes, Ahmed, it's not just the genome. He goes, we did the human genome. There's 20,000 genes. Guess what? We share 99% of that with, a mouse.
I believe that.
99%. So that means the only difference between you and a mouse is 200 genes. 200 genes between you and a mouse. So it cannot all be genes. And so, David Rasnick was like, it's not about genes. It's more than genes. And I said, what? What is it then? What is instructing the cells to use the genome dictionary to make the proteins. And his answer was very simple. He goes, Ahmed, we don't know. We don't know what is the spark of life. What is it that makes us different from the mouse and the banana? Banana's like 40-50% human. You know, it's just mental, you know? It's crazy. And the thing is, because, you know, and the reason why, even after,
maybe.
Yeah, after all these, you know, human genome projects and everything, do you remember leading up to 2000, early 2000, it was a human genome project, human genome. Where did that all go? What happened to it? Where are the massive discoveries? Where are the medical treatments? Where they promised us that when we map out the human genome, we will be able to do everything and eradicate. Where? No, because the reason why they've all gone quiet is they know it's not about the genes. Because the genes is not the recipe, it's the dictionary. And they don't, and they're just kidding us. They're fooling us. And it's scandalous, you know, yeah. And people don't know about this. And instead of listening and debating and trying to understand, most people get triggered like poor Chris Billboard and just go, where are you, anti-science conspiracy theorists? I'm not talking to you anymore and hanging up. And we need to get back to just talking and debating. Anyway, listen, can I ask you something? When were you in the UN? UN who?
Yeah, I want to finish. I'll tell you, but I want to finish on this genome because I have two remarks. Because I've studied that quite a lot because I wrote two books for the government and the Academy of Medicine of Switzerland on anti-aging medicine. They wanted to know what it was, if it was reliable, the recommendation for politics, and regenerative medicine. So the first thing is that the genome, a remark is that they decoded the genome, but actually they mention two things, the hidden genome and the junk genome. And when they don't describe it properly, but there are articles that come out sometimes, we have to dig, they're hidden, that say that the junk genome is actually our spiritual genome and would be the frequency. I assume that's the world of how our frequency can change the book and the blueprint and what we take to create who we are and what we are. So that's the first thing. The second is that I was working with the Russians, scientists who are brilliant, in St. Petersburg on the Institute of Bioregulation, and I was professor from the Academy of Russian Science. I don't say it to everybody, but and they were fascinating because they were studying the bioregulation of the body and how it regenerates. Because when soldiers were in submarine and there were radiation, they would degenerate very quickly. So the government said, please find us, to the doctors, from the military doctors. So Professor Kavinson was in the team, and he found, and he explained to me, and he's fascinating. We were heading the European the Association of Geriatric and Gerontology at one point, so we collaborated a lot together. And so he said that the peptides, so you have the genome, the blueprint, yeah. Then you have the proteome, and then the metabolome, and then the human. But for the genome to become the proteome metabolome, you need to trigger. You need to activate a genome, a certain genome or not. So he's an expert in peptide bioregulation, and he said that you can regenerate with any of your limb, you can regenerate a part of your body. He has very good results with glaucoma and things like that. So that's the first thing that I learned. And the second thing I learned, and this was also with other scientists, and of which Bruce Lipton, which I like, even if he hasn't published much lately, but there is epigenetics. So epigenetics, not many people understand, but it is a key to to health. So there are three factors that I have identified that I put in my books so people understand. To get healthy or to get sick, the first factor is subjectivity. And if you can, that was my PhD, it was subjective health is a better predictor than objective health from the doctor. And it's been proven so in many researches. So subjective health and emotion can create a new can trigger the genome expression. That's how you say it. Expression to become a proteome and this and the metabolome. So if you have bad emotion, you can create a disease, or if you're not well and subjectively you can, and that's the second is lifestyle.
No. Stop with that first one. So what you're saying is, if you think positive thoughts, positive things will happen. If you think negative thoughts, negative things will happen. If you're positive and embracing life, and you're full of energy, that's great.
Yes.
But if you're down and depressed
visualization
and anxious, and so visualization,
yes.
Explain that.
Yeah, so it's also prayer has been also studied, meditation has been also studied, but visualization, it's fascinating. They made studies on sport. If you visualize that you're moving your muscle, and they did that with elbow or finger muscle, so it was easy to measure. They took a first group who was doing the exercise of bending hands or arm at a certain stage, and then they did a control group who doesn't do anything, and they did a group that is visualizing it does the muscle program, but is not doing it. So just visualization. And the group who just visualized got 30 to 50% of the muscles, reactivated muscles. So it has an effect. And when you look, people who are watching football, you can also make studies on their hormone level, and the hormone level, oxytocin or other hormones, testosterone. If you're on the winner's side and you look at football and they win, your testosterone goes high, and the one losing go down. And during the match, they see that also. It's an Australian study. It's very funny. So those things are hidden to us. The power you have of visualization, of thinking, of loving, of intention.
So
all this
can I ask you something? So if I'm unwell, say if I get a cold or a flu, how would I use visualization? Do I close my eyes and say, it's okay, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. Let it all out. It's going to be fine. Is that what I do? I mean, explain to me how, and the listeners, how do you use visualization as a tool to make yourself better?
Well, it's not only about thinking. It's not just the cognitive. You have to feel it.
Yeah.
So some people even say you have to talk to your stem cells, every night. So in meditation or in visualization and performance in sports, for example, I was a sports person. I'm a ski teacher, professional. I did competition, and actually it is very important in sports that you before you do a competition, that you do the you do the course of the skiing competition, for example, and you visualize that you are doing that with the movements, with everything about your body, and you feel good about it, and you touch snow, and even when you teach skiing, you tell people, can you feel the snow? Can you feel your movement? Can you see what I mean is that you have to be connected to your cells, to your muscles, to your body. It's not just about a mental thing but of course, to say it loud can help, because vibration of singing and of speaking vibrates, and it has an effect. And
so you know what?
It dribbles in and echoes in eternities.
I think you're right. Do you know, I the night before my surgery, I would go to bed, lie in bed, and I would visualize gowning up, scrubbing up, preparing the patient. I would think about where they are. I'd imagine. My visual memory is amazing. Like, I can literally walk into like it's like a 3D reconstruction, like hologram thing. And I walk in, the patient is positioned. I would mark them. I would then make the incision. I would feel the tissues. I would know where to put the plate and the drills and the screws. And I would do that. I would mind map the operations. And the next day, and my nurses would say to me, Ahmed, you're like one of the best surgeons ever. I'm not just blowing my own trumpet. I'm being serious. This is what they would say. They were like,
no.
You never waste a movement. Everything you do is with purpose. And the surgery goes so fast. You take half an hour and the other surgeons take 2 hours, and their instruments are going backwards and forwards, and they're thinking and they're discussing. They're like, and honestly, I found that because I was playing it out in my head the night before, when I actually got to do the surgery, it was like, done, like, just get on with it. So funny.
Excellent. It's a great example. It's perfect. It's
But
really a good example. You see,
when
you
you're
can
talking
also there is your
Sorry,
example of your surgery. This is perfect. Oh,
I was going to say, so I also, think about, what about those people who are sick and they're in a coma, and then people come and hold their hands and talk to them and sing to them. That's the same thing, the same resonance and frequency. It
yes.
must be healing them. Leaving someone in a bed on their own, isolated, is not going to help them. Having your family around, the voices, the loved ones, the energy, surely that must be helping the patient.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are vibration. The cells are electrons. We are bioelectric. There was a department of bioelectrics in the Faculty of Medicine of Paris in the 50s with scalar waves. And the Rockefeller came and destroyed it all. So we are vibration. So you can even see in Tibetan bowls are done for healing. Even the bells that they have taken off from all the villages are actually a healing resonance. And you could even make a gong in front of your surgery room to just, you feel that you resonate when you have a gong. You don't you? It's amazing. That's why in Asia, all the Zen Buddhist temples have that. It's fascinating. And another clue is that in the Catholic churches that were ancient and cathedrals, they have organs.
Yes.
And those organs have tubes, and those tubes resonate in the whole sacred geometry of a church and cathedral. It's been proven by sacred architect, sacred. And this was healing. And we have gotten out of this when it is one of the main idea that has to come back is you heal by visualizing, by being with people. Even Mac Taggart wrote The Power of Eight. Lynn MacTaggart, she's Canadian, amazing woman, and she proves that the power of 8 people around a person can make miracles, because we are entangled in quantum physics. They actually talk about that, and all this group, Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, are taking the inspiration from Lynn MacTaggart. She's the journalist of investigation.
So one very quick question.
Very interesting.
Who did you say destroyed it in Paris? I didn't quite catch it, your accent. Who did you say destroyed all that science in Paris? Was it the Rockefellers?
Oh, it's one of the R's, Rockefeller. Rockefeller put in place in the U.S. After he got very rich with petroleum, he went to the pharma industry and changed the curriculum of all the faculties of medicine.
No. Yeah, I know that.
Got rid of herbs, got rid of natural therapy, natural medicine. I guess you have talked about this, but it is very important to understand that the faculties of medicine are pharma-centered. And it is because the industry, like Gavi, came and paid massive money so that the medical curriculum of doctors is centered on disease pharma.
100%. Sorry, 100%.
And
so
you see, love medicine.
I didn't understand because your accent, but you're right. It's the Rockefeller. So Carnegie and Rockefeller Rockefeller and Carnegie both worked together and made that Flexner report, and then they streamlined medicine and got rid of hundreds of medical schools. And like you said, they got rid of the herbalists, the naturopaths, the natural medicines, the homeopaths, everything. And they concentrated everything. You had to get regulated. You have to have license. They paid for all the colleges, associations, and big pharma. And it's just got worse with time. I mean, it has got worse with time. I went through med school, and I look back now, it's complete indoctrination. We got taught anatomy, which was fun. We got taught a bit of physiology, but then it was like most diseases, we don't know why they happen. Bad genes. It's all the genes' fault. And then the treatment is this drug, this pill. And, it was bonkers, absolute bonkers. I just want to quickly come back to you about the
Yes.
frequency. I found something. You can't see this, but I'm sharing the screen. I think this is beautiful. So the
Okay.
frequency of the Earth is 7.83 hertz. And let me read this out. Scientific studies show that the human brain reaches its ultimate potential for health and wellness when it resonates with the Earth's 7.83 hertz frequency. Staying in sync with the Earth's natural frequency can positively affect physical and mental health and daily performance and promote overall well-being. I would say, would you not agree with me, Astrid? If staying in frequency with the Earth's frequency is good for us human beings, the opposite also must be true. If you change your frequency away from the natural Earth frequency, that must be detrimental to human health. And that's what you've been talking about.
Yes.
You're nodding.
And you can see that in a research, people going to barefoot in the grass to walk is actually recreating your bioelectric harmony in your body. And what there's many problems with the buildings to get today because they become electric with all the wires. We have electromagnetic interference with our body.
Yeah.
And also they put all this windmills and things that are electric go in earth with electricity and actually are killing life. Basically, in the buildings, if you don't have mise à terre, a rod that goes and puts the electricity down to earth. How do you call that? In French, you say put it in mise à terre. You have to
earthing
electricity.
Wire. Yes, earthing wire.
Yeah, this is very important in where you live. You need this earthing because otherwise you live in an electric world and you can get sick. This is the third epigenetic creation of disease or health is environment, and this environment is electricity is not good for you. You need harmony, and nature gives you this harmony. Actually, the French, I have to tell you, this is really amazing. The French have a conference every year near Toulouse on the music of plants. And the plants, you can put electrodes on plants and a speaker, and every plant sings a music. It's incredible. And more than that, plants can heal you. So we have to get back to this medicine that has been forgotten because the grid of the 5G is trying to cut us from this natural medicine that is existing in nature. But those plants are amazing. I'm sure people can go and find it on internet. So every plant has a frequency, and you can read a book called The Secret Life of Plants. It was already there in the 70s when I was a hippie, and there was those plants can remember if somebody came to hurt a criminal or if it came to cut the plant. So
wow.
There are even some crime scenes which have been solved thanks to the vibration of the plant, recognized who was the bad guy. You see, all this is science, but it's not put together or it's censored. We are in a world of censorship and of directing the narrative to the business.
Yeah, you started off,
but a lot of things exist. A lot.
Yeah, you started off talking about three things: visualization first, and then I stopped you, and we started going down a tangent. So let's go back to that. You started off the list, and the first one was visualization. What were the next things?
It was subjectivity. It's the area. So the first factor of expression of the gene, epigenetics, is first subjectivity, emotion, visualization, everything there. Yeah. What you do with your inner life. The second is lifestyle. And lifestyle is basically nutrition, water, physical activity. And the third is environment. And environment can be the frequency that you get. Like example, if you have a painting on your wall, which with toxicity, you can get a cancer just from the toxicity of the material on the wall. Or the radon or asbestosis, there is a name, amiante in
Asbestos.
French. Or you
Yeah.
can also get radiation of 5G has been proven to be very bad for you. So your environment creates your health, like we talked of plants and walking in the rain, in barefoot, etc., or bad rain or acid rain. And then you can get the nutrition. Nutrition is the medication. That's even Hippocrates said that.
Yeah.
Hippocrates.
Yeah.
Your
Food is medicine.
nutrition is your medication. Today, more than ever, because nanoparticles can be processed in processed food. So people, you have to eat and make your own garden. You can make a garden in your cupboard. You can make it's called urban agriculture, urban farming.
I love it.
But we have to get back to all this nature medicine, and when you can feel it when you eat something alive, your energy comes back.
Yeah. So I had Dr. Sarah Pugh on my podcast. I haven't released it yet. I'm so behind publishing. I'm like 2 months behind, believe it or not. I'm such an idiot. I find it very difficult to
Well,
say
I
no
haven't
to people.
started yet.
So I just find it very difficult to say no to it. So many guests, so many interesting people like yourself. And but Sarah Pugh, she's all about quantum biology and health. And she said to me, "Look, Ahmed, you need to eat in season. And I don't think it's all about carnivore or vegan. Just whatever you eat whole foods that are natural and wholesome and not full of GMOs and insecticides and pesticides. And eat fruit that is in season." She goes, most of these things that we see, fruit and vegetables, they're dead. What we're eating is dead. They don't give us any energy. And we plant potatoes. And I can tell you right now, when we pull the potatoes out the soil and cook them, whatever, homemade chips or whatever, they taste amazing, a million times better than anything from the supermarket. And we've got chickens, and when they lay eggs, and then, literally 10 minutes later, I'm cracking it and making an omelette or scrambled egg. I mean, it's a delicious egg. It's better than anything in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think, and
you
we
see,
need to
you
connect with that.
appreciate the appreciation. You see, your appreciation is also an energy that you're giving to the food, and this is also. First, you have to wash it well with bicarbonate because the pesticides are very bad. You know that, But what the Hindus are doing, I've been doing a lot of interreligious coordination, and I had a chance to meet a lot of Indian gurus, and when my children loved it, because when we were eating with them, they said, first you have to bless what you eat before you eat it, and say thank you. Or even the indigenous people, the Indians, are say thank you to the food and those who provide, or to the animals. And then those Indian gurus are actually eating with the hands, because the energy of the hands is much better than a fork and steel. So my kids were very happy because they could eat. So you see what I mean? There is a whole culture about what is natural. I'm not saying that everybody in England should start eating with their hands, but why not? To reintegrate definitely the energy. And the Brahma Kumaris, the Brahma Kumaris?
No, what's that?
The Brahma Kumaris University for Women. It's a big group in England and in India. And Daddy Junkie was at the head of that. And she said to me, she said to everybody, we had forums of special people. But anyway, they say that when they cook with love. They really, it's again, we come to the emotion of subjectivity linked to the environment, linked to the lifestyle. So it's epigenetics at the full, and you can heal with that.
So I need to tell you about our house. So my eldest daughter loves eating with her hands, always, and my wife is always telling her off. And but I sympathize. I like eating with my hands too. I grew up in Scotland. I was born in Scotland, but my parents are from the Indian subcontinent, and they used to eat with naan and roti and hands. And it's difficult to get that out. Sometimes I do still prefer a fork and knife, especially if I'm eating noodles. But but it's nice. You're right. It's a great using your hands. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, when we cook, we always cook pretty much everything from scratch. I mean, occasionally we'll go out for a meal.
Oh, that's good.
I like tonight. Look, one of my local supporters, one of my paid supporters, and really wonderful human being, Andrew Lennon. I'll just tell him. He reached out to me and said, "Ahmed, I want to take you out for a meal." I know a great Indian restaurant. I want to take you out for a curry. And I went, you know what? Okay, because it's nice to meet other human beings. It's nice to spend time with other people and share your magnetic field with other people, especially over some food. So tonight I'm
Great.
going for a curry. But normally we eat at home
Ah,
from
that's great.
scratch. Yeah, normally we eat at home.
Yeah, and
And
you
whenever
see, they
we
have
do,
spices.
yeah, spicy, yeah. So I said to my kids, do you know why it tastes so good? Because they go, Daddy, Daddy, Mummy, it's really tasty. Mm-hmm. And I go, you know why? You know what's the secret ingredient? And they go, love. And I go, yes, we make the food with love. And no one else will make the food for you with this amount of love. So I totally agree with you about that, you know?
Great. That's beautiful because, yeah, I really like Indian food because they have spices and tastes like no other culture, I think. But also, they are using spices to heal. And this is also in the medicine, curcuma, curry, and cayenne pepper. Actually, cayenne pepper is dissolving the nanotech in the wax. I can tell you with lemon, grapefruit, and cannelle, cinnamon. So those are spices and fruits that are actually very therapeutic today in for people. For example, I'm discovering this because I'm with experts who analyze blood and nanotech and tech. So I just want to say how spices are important.
Wow.
Never neglect that.
So
Oregano.
repeat that again. The spice is cayenne and what else?
Yeah, I mean, I was with an expert, Torbjörn, who has worked with graphene, with nanotech, and they have, David Nixon, Dr. David Nixon. I was with him for 3 hours, so that the research he does with Carl is transmitted in the world in French also. And so Dr. Nixon and Carl are saying that whether you're vaccinated or not, you have strange things in your blood. So you can say that it's stress, maybe it can be the frequency, but it could also be the metals and some nanotechs. So with this, how to get rid of things that are not biological and that you want to get rid of. And this expert of nanotech says four ingredients that are really important, but they say that you can take it in essential oil too, is lemon and grapefruit. And as you might know, hydroxychloroquine is based on grapefruit and lemon peel that you can cook and shimmer for 2 hours, then you leave it for an hour and you get hydroxychloroquine. So lemon, grapefruit, then cinnamon, and cinnamon is supposed to boost some of the hormones like DHEA in man, etc. So cinnamon is a very potent antibiotic. Even you can do so. That is also important to dissolve the nanotech. And the last is cayenne pepper, because it has properties that can disentangle the hydrogel and the rest of the material. So those are some of the clues. Beside what everybody else says, glutathione,
All right, okay.
NAC, zinc, vitamin D3, vitamin C.
Okay.
Yeah, so
listen,
it's just to see though how it's important.
I don't know who these people are. I think Roger Dixon, you said, or something like that. You need to tell me about those people later on. But right now, tell
David
me about
Nixon.
David Nixon. I don't know who David Nixon is. Listen, I'm very late to the party. I'm
Oh,
waking up. I'm
sorry.
very late to the party. I'm not awake. I don't believe anyone is awake. We are all
Yes, you
awakening.
are awake.
Now I'm awakening. There's so much to
But
learn.
there is so much knowledge around now that it's difficult to process, I must say.
Okay, so tell me about
So I understand.
Tell me about the nanotech. I'm fascinated about the nanotech.
Okay, and then we can go back to the UN after. So.
Yeah, what are you talking about nanotech? What do you mean by this? What
Oh,
nanotech?
sorry. So, okay, we have. I don't know if you agree, but I do today speak like this. We have an amount of people who died from this injection that is tremendous. And it's totally underestimated even by VAERS and from Vigilance. But this in my first report in September 21, I already put the ethical breach, and I put already the amount of deaths declared officially from the vax. And I put the analysis that had been taken place in 2021 by Quinta Columna and by Professor Arne Burkhardt on the content of the vials. And this is, you see, you can analyze either the content of the vials, either the content of the blood of people who got the vax versus those who did not get the vax, or you can analyze the autopsy. And we definitely have a crime scene here. We really have, it's CSI. It's a scientific investigation of a crime. So when you see that, I'm a researcher in my soul anyway, so and in my whole life. So I start to investigate, and I go to different specialties and to different expertise. And today there are many different groups that have proven. So I don't know if you don't know this, you're going to be shocked. But so the first question is what is in the vial biological or not biological? To have it biological, you need to prove that there is phosphor and nitrogen. And Dr. Nagase from Canada is the first one, whistleblower, who said there is nothing biological in those vials. There is no nitrogen and no phosphor. So then many have confirmed out in the world there is nothing biological. So what the heck are we talking about when we say mRNA and spike? If it is not biological, you cannot have a reasoning of a traditional biological course. I took biology, and it doesn't make sense anymore. You have to think differently. So I have showed this slide where I put the question and I say there is nothing biological, but what the experts have found is oxide graphene in 21. Oxide graphene, at least 5-6 scientists have found with different labs, different methodologies, different microscope. Dr. Robert Jung from the US, Quinta Columna, Professor Arne Burkhardt, there are so many, Professor Monteverde, there are many. So they proved first there is oxide graphene, and the second is that there is more than that. There is nanotech, there is a ID, a microchip that produces a MAC code that you can identify, and I have done it. You can take Bluetooth. It's a BLE. I have 3 types that I try, and I can see numbers. So all this I've showed in 21.
Numbers where? Numbers
they have
where?
Code numbers.
What has code
in the blood?
Numbers?
They have the vaccine. Each vaccine has a little implant, RFID, and they inject it in the vaccine so it gets in the body. In fact, this injection, the exit graphene went in all the liquids, all the organs, and even the bones. So it is unique. We never saw this before. You can look at Dr. Biram Bridle in Canada. He worked with the Japanese, and he was horrified. And they called it spike, but it's not a spike because what is in there is nanotech, tech, different metals. There are at least, in some of the research, they go up to 40 different metals in the different vials. It is a recent study from Argentina of Dibasi. She did a great research and with a team, and they have attacked the government. They said, listen, this investigation has to take place. So I got censored when I showed my graphic in Stockholm, in Sweden. I got censored by Ryan Cole, Van der Busch, because they don't want me to talk about this. But this is a crime scene, so I said no. But we have to discuss. We cannot. So that's where I am. Sorry, I'm.
Is that the scene where you were on stage and you were talking about this, and Ryan Cole grabbed the microphone off you?
Yes, I'll send you the slide, and you can put it up when we talk now. Yeah, you'll see the slide that I showed, and that was in January last year. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Ryan
heard
Cole
about that.
came up, and they stopped me. And Ryan
Why?
Cole will never speak about nanotech because he's paid by the pharma to say that there is mRNA, there is a virus, there is spike, and the narrative is to keep the business of vaccine. You keep
Oh
the virus,
shit.
the mRNA, the spike, and you will keep your business alive.
Okay, stop.
So when I
Stop.
try to
No,
make an
stop.
investigation,
Stop. Stop.
okay,
So when people are saying, we found DNA plasmid and E. coli and all this kind of stuff, are they lying? There's none of that stuff. Is there no mRNA in these shots? None of this.
there is nothing biological.
So what are they
So
talking
if
about?
there is nothing
Plasmids and
biological,
What are they talking about? Plasmids, E. coli, DNA fragment. What is that all just garbage? They're lying.
no, it's a tech. It is synthetic biology or technology that we don't know about. It is they say it's synthetic biology, but I say, okay, what is the definition of synthetic biology? You can look at the patents that Dr. David Martin has disclosed. They are all based on a computer program. He says it. And it is synthetic, it's artificial, it is man-made, it is not biological. So if it's not biological, you cannot use the word the same way. So I always say, can you stop using the word spike or mRNA if it is not biological? You should say it's an mRNA robot, or you must say it's an artificial mRNA. But on top of it, mRNA is epigenetics. mRNA is a messenger of the gene expression. That's what the Russians taught me. So and I, what I said, you're gonna laugh at that. I even said in front of Malone, Ryan Cole, all the microbiologists, I said, can you stop making a lecture on microbiology that nobody understands? Nobody understands what you're talking about, and start really talking about the real thing. Why does WHO talk about genome editing and makes recommendation on genome editing? Can you explain? And so this is how I've always worked like that. You show your perspective and your analysis, and then you can have a discussion. But they censored me. They literally did not want to give me the microphone for the debate. They were very afraid that I was going to say something.
So
it was very funny.
What you're saying to me is blowing my mind open, but I'm not going to censor you.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're onto something. I'm fascinated. I want to know more. I don't know if I agree with everything because
Okay.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I am fascinated. I want to know more. I find it very strange when people
Oh, you have
censor
to
and
invite
cancel.
David.
David
Invite
who?
Dr. David Nixon. Nixon
Pass me his
from
details.
Australia.
Give me
Yeah,
his details.
yeah. And you say
Let's do it.
he's really kind and
So look, I'm really worried
it's
about
very
these
important
shots.
because
Yeah, no one knows
yeah.
what's inside them. No one knows. No one says we know. And how even now the health officials, you do FOIA reports. The head of the College of GPs in England said, "Oh, we don't know what's in them." And if you ask MHRA, they go, "Oh, we don't know, the government has agreed," and the government says, "Oh, no, the
Yeah, but
MHRA." Everyone is pointing fingers at each other and passing on the blame and the
yeah.
buck at someone else. No one is taking responsibility and saying, "Oh, yeah, we've checked this and this is what's in the." No, we don't know. And so I hear things like graphene oxide and this and that, and then people go, "Oh, you're crazy, you're conspiracy theorist." People say there's viruses, things moving around. And you just don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
People
yeah.
say that it's switched on by 5G and it's not. To be honest, I have no idea, but I am fascinated and I want to get to the bottom of it. Now, what you're telling me is blowing my brain open. It's just, and I do get
Well, you
worried when you
see,
say,
you have to.
can I just quickly say one more thing? I do get worried about the pandemic ambulance chasing industry. So what I mean by that is, I was in conversations with a company, with a wellness company, and they were like offering me, just head up their European arm and this and that and sell the spike supplements and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not really that keen about selling supplements. What I want to do is alternative healthcare. I want to get herbalists and homeopaths and naturopaths and offer consultations with ethical people. And it just didn't work out. We went opposite directions, right? It just went cold. But it was very tempting. Look, I've lost my career, and we're talking about decent money, financially secure, everything stabilized, But I couldn't. For the life of me, when you're pushing spike detox, like this idea that your body's rubbish and you need to supplement yourself into good health, or selling contagion kits and pandemic kits, I just think, what the hell? What is this narrative? And then recently I was so upset because Peter McCullough said we're adding Tamiflu to the emergency contagion kit. Tamiflu?
Oh,
And it's like, what are we doing here?
Look at his conflict of interest.
We're promoting the idea that there's these deadly pandemics. We're promoting the idea of the fear porn of viruses. We're promoting the idea that we need to, have vaccines or other form of first line therapy. And it's selling. It's a business. And so if they haven't got people's money from the vaccines, now they're getting money from the supplements. And I just couldn't take part in that. I was like, no, I don't want that. I'm just gonna beg my listeners for support. Actually, can I quickly do a plug-in? Everyone listening, if you really want to fight the evil bastards, support Doc MALIK. Buy me a coffee. You know what? Or subscribe to my Substack. It's $5 a month. I mean, it's less than a burger a month. It's less than a coffee a month. If you want to fight the tyranny, everybody keeps saying, I don't know how to fight against the evil ones. Support me, right? Because that would help.
Yeah,
anyway, moving back to you.
Get support.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have more doctors like you speaking up.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to say something. You see, you're a surgeon. If you have a suspect death, what do you do?
Autopsy. We do an inquiry. We look into it. We have every month. Every month we have a morbidity or mortality. So everyone who's had an operation and has died within a month, we pull up their notes, their tests, investigations. We look at what happened. Are we to blame? We do an autopsy. We investigate. We learn from the mistakes. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, and then you put the first cause of death, the second, and the third. That's what I did in my research in geriatric medicine. But do you do that too? That you have first cause of death, priorities?
Yep.
Okay, so what did you find in the autopsy of people vaccinated that died from a heart attack or something?
Stringy clots?
And did you analyze those clots?
No. I haven't.
Okay, so there is a brilliant Scottish embalmer, O'Looney, who was an expert on the grand jury of Rainer Fulmich, the attorney. I was also there for PCR and the UN, WHO. And O'Looney, he was a whistleblower. He said, I have never seen those clots long, of only almost 1 meter, in arteries that never you should get clots in. And he was ringing the bell. So many embalmers and autopsy were made, even if it was forbidden. And that was very strange. In a crime scene, to forbid the most important thing you have to do is autopsy. So now we know that those clots are kind of a rubber polymer that should not be at all in the body. It has nothing to do in the body. It has to do with the non-biological material in the vials.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No, you see, it's logic. If you take, it's logic.
So has anybody actually done any histological analysis of these clots and actually figured out what the chemical composition is and what they are?
That's a problem because the only thing I found from the report of Hirschman from the USA, is that they lack 4 components that's where they could find that in a normal dead body, there was missing magnesium, zinc, ferritin, and I think potassium.
I'm interviewing.
So this is very strange.
I'm just checking my phone. 14th of May.
Yeah.
I'm doing a podcast with Richard Hirschman.
Oh, great. Great. Yeah.
So
he is part of the criminal scene expert. And those I was saying to Ryan Cole, you are not invited on the criminal analysis if you don't accept other experts from chemistry, radionuclear, nanotechnology, nanoparticle, etc., radiation, electricians. You see the problem? They only take infectious disease experts who have not a clue in no biology. There is no biology. They don't know. They have not even analyzed the symptomatology of the death and of the disease.
Okay, let's go back. So what were in these clots? Tell me what were in these clots?
Yeah, yeah. Hirschman says that what is missing in there, what I have understood, up to today, in the investigation I follow, when I mention the people I really spot out as great experts like Hirschman and O'Looney, well, they say that it is a type of rubber made out of polymers, and polymers are plastic. And it is very difficult to dissolve them. You cannot destroy them. So this is intentional. I mean, all those footballers who just drop dead on the football camp on the grass is not normal. The symptomatology of the death is by itself suspicious. And they have clots of big rubber bands, and they say there has nothing to do in the body. It's clogging up, and it is irreversible. They cannot dissolve it. So you have to ask him questions about this, and I'm sure it will interest people to follow you to find out more and more about this.
All right. Okay. Next question. Oh, this is just blowing my mind.
But we have to stay light about it. But we cannot not say the truth.
I know, but when you've looked into these nanotech and graphene oxide, I hear so many different people talking about detoxing and this and that. I think the body has an amazing capacity to heal and recover.
Yes.
Is there anything you can do? Is there anything human beings can do to facilitate that healing? I mean, I think general things that help.
Right.
For example, being in nature, grounding, sleeping, eating wholesome food, fasting every day, drinking clean water that's not from the tap, having love in your life, having good connections. I think these are healing. Is there anything else you can do on top of that?
Yeah, because you have to. There is a lot to say on this graphene oxide. But one thing it does, it's like you put sand in your tank, your car tank, and you have to help the body to eliminate it.
Yeah.
And what the Quinta Columna, the Spanish group was the first one to identify that, because the father of Ricardo Delgado from Quinta Columna, his parents got the vax, and he realized there was something wrong, gave it to a chemist, Professor Compra from Almeida University, who said there's so much graphene oxide, it's not normal. So Ricardo Delgado, he was saying that, and it makes sense in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. You also say you take antioxidants, but one of the most important material to eliminate is glutathione. And before glutathione, you have N-acetylcysteine. It's a amino acid. It's NAC, the NAC. So you have NAC, and NAC, you have the precursor is NAC from glutathione. So by taking more glutathione and NAC, which is a supplement, it's a nutritional supplement, you're helping your body to take out this sand, let's say, with the imagery. And the second one that we know is zinc, because zinc helps to clean the cell. And I could also add vitamin C, helps to regenerate the cell. Dr. Paul MALIK has a protocol that I always recommend of IV injection of vitamin C when you're really sick. It can save lives from infectious, radionuclear, or even cancers. Vitamin C, Linus Pauling got the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, Professor Ian Brighthope talks about this in Australia, and he's been talking about it since the 1980s. He got into trouble. He said IV vitamin C helps HIV, it helps cancer, it helps everything. And they just said, you're a quack. Quack, quack.
Yeah, you see, and this is crazy. It is one of the best medication you can have. And you find it in citrus, you see. Bill Gates wanted to kill all the lemon trees and grapefruit trees. He knew that this lemon is very important. And Dr. Paul MALIK has saved many people in his own unit. You know, people he thought would be dead the next day, he'd made IV to the group. They all survived, and they
listen.
But now it is censored. It's censored.
Really?
Today.
Okay, so and
vitamin D3
glutathione,
also very important.
Vitamin D3, vitamin C, zinc, NAC, glutathione. Anything else?
Well, what I said before, it's the grapefruit and the grapefruit and lemon. That's hydroxychloroquine in the natural form. And what I also say always is because they have put parasites in the vax that are in smart parasites. There are nanotech parasites.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, so you have to take the equivalent of ivermectin is in natural is black cumin oil. It's nigel. And nigel is something that the whole Middle East is using because the Prophet Muhammad said nigel, black cumin oil, can heal you of everything except death. So this is excellent for taking out, all the parasites, which can create cancer too. Actually, you can ask Dr. Lee Merritt.
How much black cumin oil do you have? Like a teaspoon worth? I mean, how much? How does it work?
Yeah, like in yogurt, like in every morning, every day. Like in your salad, in your yogurt. I mean, I don't know. Some people take pills. But I always want to give the natural remedy. You have ivermectin, you can buy it in Mexico, in India, but it's good to give the natural remedy. So ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine when you're very sick is very important.
Yeah, one of my supporters. This is why I love my supporters. I think it's called Trevor Price, or someone else, I can't remember. One of my listeners, one of my supporters was saying to me, you need to take black cumin oil. You need to take black cumin oil. So I need to get it. Yeah, I'll So listen.
One more thing, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one more thing.
They have put Professor Arne Burkhardt, when he did an analysis of what's in the blood of vaccinated people, he found metal, chrome and nickel. So you have to get rid of the metals, and the best is not chelation. Chelation is so violent. I did that with anti-aging medicine. I tried it myself, and you need to take loads of vitamin if you do a chelation. But I would say you take algas, clamat, and chlorella. They go and get the heavy metal and they take it out of your bloodstream. Spirulina has a little bit. It takes sometimes.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I can send you my
protocol. It's not up to date, but it has all that.
Send me the protocol. Yeah, send me links. Like where I can find this stuff.
I have to do a booklet.
Yes, and just
I really have to write more, but
because your accent and everything, I'm like, I don't know what you said. I'm like, what? what? But you know what?
Sorry.
No, it's a beautiful accent. Can I tell you a quick story before I move on? I am when I was a medical student. God, I love the French accent. I came across some French girls, and I was just like, oh man, I need to marry a French girl. I mean, that accent is the sexiest accent. I mean, they could just speak to me, and I would just fall to sleep in their arms. It was just amazing. So after I graduated, while I'm doing these long hours, I started going to evening classes to learn French. So, one day I could go to France and meet a nice hot French girl. Anyway, after 3 months, the teacher came up to me and said, everyone in the class wants you to leave. And I said, why? They said, you're holding everyone behind. So here's your money. You know, you're a smart guy, but French isn't for you. So I had to give up I got my money back, but everyone wanted me to stop because I was very bad at French lessons. And so I never married.
Unfair.
Yeah, I never married a French girl. But it's a true story. I love the accent.
no.
It's amazing. Anyway, listen, moving on. So, look, you crazy person, you conspiracy theorist nut job. I've come across something which I think you will love. You know, and it just goes to confirm everything you're saying. You can't see the screen, but one day when you watch the podcast, you'll love it. So this is in Nature, nature.com. Now, listen, you have to agree, Nature is a pretty respected journal, yes?
Yeah, normally, but now it's bought by all the oligarchs. So
yeah. But listen.
That's true.
This is Nature, published 16th of February 2024. I wish you could see the screen. I'm going to read it out to you. First, in human controlled inhalation of thin graphene oxide nanosheets to study acute cardiorespiratory responses. Abstract. Graphene oxide nanomaterials are being developed for wide-ranging applications, but are associated with potential safety concerns for human health. We conducted a double-blind randomized study, blah, 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 blah. But what I'm trying to say is, everything you're saying isn't crazy, isn't conspiracy theory. It's here. They're experimenting. They're trying to figure out what this does.
Yeah, and the experts in chemistry and in the labs from different wakes, from different countries, have all confirmed. And those who are not experts are censoring us. So they are for the business, and we are to save humanity, because you cannot make a prevention or a treatment that is correct if you don't know what happened, what is not disclosed in the vials. Actually, even, look, for those who don't believe that and treat us of conspiracy, Pfizer has said itself in a paper that they have graphene oxide in the vial. It is written in their own description.
Oh, wow.
Nobody can fight that. So this is going to come out, and then the others are going to say, oh, we knew. Yeah.
Yeah, limited hangout, and then they gradually all come out and say all this. Can I just quickly ask you something? Oh, hold on a second. Oh, there was a Freedom of Information Act, actually. I'm trying to open the website. The UK government was asked if there's graphene oxide in COVID-19 vaccinations. Let's see what the response is. Thank you for your inquiry. To answer question 2, companies must disclose all excipients as is detailed in the Human Medicines Regulation 2012. This legislation also provides the foundation. Question 1, a company would be in breach of regulation if they were to include hidden excipient in addition. It doesn't really answer the question. It doesn't really answer. So they talk about it, but they don't actually answer whether it's in there or not.
Oh, interesting.
And it says, there's a fact check, AP News, Pfizer vaccine does not contain graphene oxide. So, I mean, they're saying no. I
have it somewhere. Yeah, but of course, because this is why they censored me. Also, this is the clue. It's one of the clue of this criminal scene. This is what really kills. It's not mRNA. It's not spike.
The problem is all these organizations that I really trust, with my life, like the UK government, Reuters, AP News, Full Fact, Pfizer, all these companies and organizations that I really trust and love because I know they care about me. They're all saying graphene oxide is not present. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Well, at least they talk about it.
Yeah,
they even said I was not working in WHO, never, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. Which it's okay. It's Reuters, and they're all the same. They're all paid by McKinsey and WHO and Gavi. I have a paper here. You want to hear that?
Yeah.
McKinsey has been paid $419 million by WHO in 2017-2018. And they are in charge of the whole campaign since a long time, I think, apparently from what I hear from the US, of the campaigns of the private companies. So now it's the UN who is directed by a communication group, and a strategic communication group who lies. And they have at least 5 other companies, BCG, Deloitte, Preva Group, Seek Development, and more recently, Delivery Associates. And all those companies are carving the narrative. This is the real war, actually.
Do you know what? There's a real war in the mind. I'll give an example. I was also speaking to my lovely, lovely friend, Matthew Ginsberg, earlier on this week. And he's wonderful. I love him. And he was talking about controlled opposition. He did a great Substack on controlled opposition and why it's important. And a lot of people say, oh, it's dangerous. You say everyone's controlled opposition. You're just going to fragment and divide the movement. Well, we were never united in the first place. But he said that it's really important we do recognize controlled agents of chaos, who may be unwillingly or willingly controlled, directly or indirectly, because they are damaging the fight. Because if we don't know who the enemy is and we don't know what the problem is, and they're muddying the water and confusing, they're helping the enemy. And so what I want to say is, for example, it's not just the fact that I believe that the enemy, the evil ones, have created a controlled opposition. I believe they've created several controlled oppositions who argue amongst each other to give the whole thing a bit of validity. Well, they can't be controlled because look, this person's arguing with that person's angry with that person, this person's fighting. And so you think, oh, that must be genuine, that must be real, when actually it's all pantomime. It's all theatre. And like my friend Fergus, I'll put his book up, Fergus O'Connor Greenwood, 180. He
Ferguson, gosh.
Yeah, he doesn't talk. He says it's not about controlled opposition. It's bikini opposition. It's not what they reveal. It's what they conceal. Like you, they took the mic off you. You can't talk about this. You know, so they will talk about certain things which are acceptable, but the really important stuff you're not allowed to talk about. And so Michael Ginsberg talks about paltering, Paltering, and this is a method where you give a lot of truth, and you go, here, look, see, this is all the truth, and you go, ha ha. But what they don't do is give you the most important truth. They conceal that. So ultimately, you are misinformed. Ultimately, you are being deceived, even though you think, oh, see, I've uncovered the truth. So I think it is important that we stay vigilant. And I, for one, have realized that many of the people who I thought were my heroes are not my heroes. There's a great line in Batman where Harvey Two-Face goes, if you stay a hero long enough, you know, I think, oh, you end up becoming the villain, or, you know, you just have to die a hero, and something like that. So, I mean, I just feel like all the heroes that I had, one by one, they've all dropped down, and I don't trust them anymore because of the narrative they keep pushing.
No.
So, yes, they said a lot of good stuff, but now they're like pushing drugs, supplements, vaccine, pandemic. I had Robert Malone on my podcast. God, that was hilarious. Did you see that one? Did you see that episode? Oh, just for giggles.
No. But Robert Malone has been actually quite kind to me. It's very interesting. Even when I was censored, he tapped me on the shoulder, and I'm like, oh okay.
Well, you're very lucky. You should check out that podcast I did with him. Anyway, I just feel like I don't know who I can trust. I want to trust myself because I know I'm not right, and I'm just searching for the truth. And I would recommend everyone just keep looking in the mirror, and there is their hero. And actually listen to people who are being silenced. So if you're being censored, I'm definitely interested in what you have to say. But listen, we need to wrap it up now. I
just want to say about controlled controlled opposition. I'm really analyzing this very much because it is so important that we don't waste time, that we understand what keywords they're using, the controlled opposition, to keep the business of virus and vax. That's what they want. Then, because what they're doing is an obstruction to the treatment and the correct handling of patients and of people who have been injected. Because if you don't know what they have been injected, you cannot help them to heal. And even the treatment will not work. They
Very
intubated,
quickly.
which was the worst
A
thing.
disaster.
You see,
What about, very quickly,
and
what
it
about
was
natural
actually acute
kinase?
radiation. That's something.
Oh, what about
Yeah,
natural kinase?
Maculo has conflict of interest. So I have a problem with somebody who wants to promote Tamiflu, who has a huge conflict of interest that is absolutely official. Go and see. You can see they have a website in the US where you can see how much money each person has got.
Who are you
He
talking
got
about?
lots of money since the last 5 years.
Who are you
Maculo.
talking about? McCullough, Peter McCullough.
Maculo. Yeah, Maculo.
Peter McCullough.
Yeah, it's just I'm giving you I give the people a screen to analyze when somebody who is expert keeps on talking of a virus when we have never isolated it. That it is, if it was a virus, I have written an article I can give to you. I have analyzed. It's just a flu, and it mutates so much you cannot even catch it. It's impossible from one country to the other. So those who keep on talking of a virus are selling something, or they ignore. mRNA, same thing. The spike protein, same thing. And then the vaccine, this one is not good, but the others are good. No, we have to. This is not true. So this is for me a group that I'm not going to contradict, but I don't want to feed the beast. I don't. I'm not going to feed the business. We have
Astrid,
to use another world, and yeah.
I love you. You're my sister.
Yeah, you let me speak, so which is great. So you're my brother.
No, I love you. I love you so quickly. So is natural kinase all garbage? Is that just garbage? Garbage supplement?
It could be good, but it's not the real. It's nattokinase is. It's better if you take bromelian and you take pineapple. You
Great.
see, I don't trust the pharma industry. If it's
Great.
Bayer, if it's Pfizer who does Tamiflu, or if it is the same bond that they have organized, we have to find other ways. But I don't trust somebody who keeps on speaking of mRNA, spike, and virus.
Perfect.
I cannot trust them.
I love it. Listen, I do need to wrap up. It's flown by.
Okay.
But there's good news. There's good news. I'm afraid, lady, whether you like it or not, I'm getting you back on. I'm getting you back on.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't talk about the UN, so
That's part 2. I'm gonna have you back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you back. I have so enjoyed talking to you. If you ever come to London, I'm just outside. You need to come and visit me.
Okay. Yeah, for the moment I haven't gone for a while now because I thought it was dangerous. But yeah, I would thank you. Thank you for
You're
the
amazing.
invitation.
So I'm going to stop now. But listen, I've got one last question, which I'd love you to answer, and it's for the audience. I ask this to everybody. Imagine you're on your deathbed many, many years from now, and you're very comfortable. Your family is all around you. Before you die and meet your maker, what words of wisdom and advice will you tell your family?
Why would I tell about their life, or about what?
What you've learned, what wisdom do you want to share with them and say, look, my children, my family, this is what I recommend, this is what I advise, from my years of experience. The last gift that you can give to them.
It's a tough question because if I think of my family, it's a tough question because they think I'm an ovni, I'm a UFO. Because my wisdom, I've been studying so much, where we come from, who we are, the meaning of life, that I would say, because some of them are atheists, I would say, listen, I know I'm going to another dimension. You're immortal if you want. If you don't want to be immortal, it's a choice. But this life has a meaning. You signed a contract. You signed with the universe, and you came to this earth. I'm leaving now. I have accomplished my mission, and I'm very happy about it. So every step of your life, think of this moment when you will turn back and look at your life. So you don't have any regrets, and I have no regrets for the moment. Well, I do that. It's the exercise I do actually with aging. I have done when I don't know another sentence. I say often, imagine that you're 80 or you're in your deathbed. You look back, and if you don't know what decision to make, think about what decision you would take when you're facing death, and you turn back and see your path. Was that the good decision or not? Because there is something at the end of this path, and that's what I feel in my experience, subjective and spiritual, of life and afterlife. I have no doubt.
Amazing. Thank you. That was a great answer. That was very unique. I love it. It was very different from what a lot of people say. So a lot of people say things like be true to yourself and this and that. No one's talked about dimensions or anything like that yet. So well, amazing. I love it. But listen, Astrid, I'm going to go now because my kids are here and we need to go. But listen, what I'm going to do is ask you to please send me a picture of yourself, front facing, head and shoulders. Send me an email with your bio and all the links, everything, please. And message me all the time.
The full bio.
Yeah, message me on WhatsApp. You're my friend. Okay. I want you to stay in touch with me. Okay. And then we'll start another.
You the slide of I sent you the slide where I was censored, so you can put it. You can show it, because that's really interesting. So I will think about what you can show. Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll fix another date in the summer. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Right. Okay. We'll be in touch. Okay? God bless you.
It was a pleasure.